everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet what I call the yarn stash busting leg warmers. I was out in my yard the other night walking around with my dogs and I realized that my legs were just a little bit chilly, and I remembered that I had this pattern. I haven't made it in a few years, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to update the pattern and make a brand new video. And I love it because you can adjust it longer just by doing more repeats, and you can make it wider or smaller by how many rows you begin with. And it's super easy to adjust. I'll explain that to you when we get a little farther on in the video. Now you can find this crochet pattern on my blog, and as always, you'll find that link down in the notes underneath this video. To make yourself a set of leg warmers, you're going to need about 3.5 ounces of yarn. I chose this sort of heather gray as my main color for my bands, and then I also worked it in through the leg warmer. And then I have this orchid purple, some teal blue, and a bright pink. These are all medium weight acrylic yarns that I had on hand in my yarn stash. They're either Red Heart Super Saver, or I Love This Yarn, or Impeccable from Michaels, or just whatever that I happen to have on hand. The main thing I wanted to do was to make sure that I used the same type of fiber. I didn't want to mix cottons and wools and things together. For this project, I wanted to keep it acrylic, and so I chose some acrylic yarns. You can mix and match all you want to. You can use more colors if you want to. You could make every row a different color if you would like to. We're going to be stitching today with our eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You need your needle for weaving in ends, especially if you're changing colors quite often, and you'll need your scissors. We'll be starting down here at the ankle band and then work our way up and finish at the knee band. And I will explain to you as we go how to adjust this to make it wider or smaller and also longer. We're going to begin with the color that we want to use for the ankle band, and I'm using this heather gray color. We're going to make our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 9 chains. And remember to chain this just a little bit loosely because we're going to be making a band and joining it together, and you don't want one end to be scrunched down. So I'm going to chain 9 chains. So there's my 9 chains. We're going to begin by placing a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. There's 1 and 2. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. And now we're going to single crochet in each of those chains across. One single crochet in each chain across. Now we begin in the second chain from the hook. So instead of having 9, we're going to have 8 single crochets, chain 1, and turn. We're going to stitch a single crochet in each of these 8 single crochets, but we're going to be stitching in the back loop only. And if you look at the top of your row, you'll see a loop on this side and a loop on this side for each stitch. This is the front because it's facing you, and this is the back loops. So we'll go in that first back loop and stitch a single crochet. Our chain 1 at the beginning of the row does not count as a stitch, and so we began in our first single crochet, and we're stitching 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets across, stitching in the back loop only. go. And chain 1. Now you'll notice that there's a ridge right here, and that's the loops we didn't stitch in. And so for row 2 we have 8 single crochets stitching in the back loop only. Alright, let's do row 3. We've chained 1, we're going to turn our work, and again we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets across, working in the back loops only. And this is the way that we'll form our ankle band. It makes a nice stretchy band, but also helps it hold its shape. So again, you can see where we have that indentation, where the ridge is, and then we also have what I call an indentation here, where we did the ridge on this side. And then you can see a deep indentation here from where we did it on that side. And so again, for row 3, we have 8 single crochets stitched in the back loop only. So now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to repeat row 3, 1 single crochet in each single crochet across, working in the back loops only, chain 1 and turn and repeat. We have 3 rows, and we'll do this for 24 more rows so that we have a total of 27 rows. Now, if you want to adjust this, 3 of these rows equal approximately 1 inch. All right, so this is going to be 9 inches around at the ankle because 3 times 9 is 27. And so you can adjust that by adding 3 rows, or you can adjust it by adding as many rows as needed for the length around of your ankle. All right, if you want to make this smaller, maybe for a smaller child, you can do less rows. The key to this is to keep your tape measure close and measure as you go. I'm doing mine according to the written pattern, and so I'm going to repeat row 3 for 24 more rows. I have repeated 1 single crochet in each single crochet across, stitching in the back loops only, chain 1 and turn, and I did those 24 additional repeats, so I have 27 rows. We're going to take the end and put it together. We're going to go through this side and this side. We're going to be stitching them together with single crochet stitches. And you want to make sure everything stays lined up. And that's part of the reason that I asked you, don't stitch that first initial chain too tightly or it won't add up, or line up would be a better way of saying that. We want it to be nice and neat and smooth, all lined up together. Whoops. There we go. Chain 1. And see how that just goes right in? You can't even tell where we joined that together. Now that we have the ankle band made, we're going to stitch around and begin to form the warmer or leg warmer portion of our leg warmer. So here's our chain 1. We're going to single crochet evenly around, and we want to try to put 1 single crochet in each of the ends of those rows. And you'll have to follow along the edge. And we want to try to go in the stitches. That one I went right in the hole. Let's redo that. We want to try to go in the sides of the stitches and not the holes. We don't want to go in the big gaping holes because you end up, like I said, with big gaping holes. And so if you put one in the indentation portion and then put one in the top of the ridge portion, you're going to end up with 27 plus the one for where we joined. So you'll end up with 28 single crochets around the top of your band. All right, so one single crochet in the top of the indentation portion and one single crochet in the top of the ridge. And this is working in the ends of the stitches, and we're going to repeat this all the way around and join back to that first single crochet. All right, so single crochet, trying to go in the sides of those stitches. That one was in a hole, so let's go in the side of the stitch, and then in the top of the ridge, all the way around the top of our ankle band. I have stitched my single crochets all the way around, and I have 27. I'm going to stitch one in this row where we joined. That will give me 28. And now I'm going to join to the first single crochet with a slip stitch. I'm going to be changing colors on this next row, and I'm going to let my yarn trail up on the inside because I'm going to be changing back and forth from my 4 colors. Now, if you're going to be changing every row, you can cut that and weave it in as you go. My next color is this teal, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring that in, and I'm going to chain 2. The chain 2 counts as 1/2 double crochet. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stitch 1/2 double crochet in each of those single crochet stitches. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. 1/2 double crochet in each of those single crochet stitches. And I'll work this all the way around and join back to my chain 2. I've half double crocheted all the way around. I'm going to join to my chain 2 with a slip stitch. I'm going to let my teal yarn drop, and I'm going to bring back in my gray. Make sure everything's snug down and chain 2. And then I'm just going to repeat what I just did. I'm going to stitch 1/2 double crochet. Get in there. All right, 1/2 double crochet in each of the half double crochets around. I'll stitch my half double crochets all the way around and join back to my chain 2. I've stitched another row of half double crochets. I joined to my chain 2, and now I'm going to bring in another color, which is this pretty purple. I'm still leaving both of these attached, and if it becomes too cumbersome for you and you would rather cut them, feel free to do that. I just like to carry them when I can. Less things I have to weave in. All right, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, snug everything down, and again I'm going to stitch 1/2 double crochet in each of the half double crochets around, and then I'm going to change back to the gray and repeat another row of half double crochets. So when you're looking at this pattern at this point, you'll end up with 4 rows plus the next one I'm going to do of 1/2 double crochet and each half double crochet around. I'm going to do this row in this purple color, and then I'll do another row of half double crochets in my gray color. And again, you don't have to move back and forth with your main color. You can use as many colors as you want to. So I've completed 4 rows of half double crochet. I did a teal, a gray, a purple, and a gray. And now I'm going to bring in my bright pink color. And on this row, we're going to be stitching some V stitches. And so we're going to chain 3. Then we're going to chain 1 more because a V stitch is a chain 3 or a double crochet, chain 1, and then a double crochet in that same stitch. All right, now we're going to skip the next stitch and stitch a V stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the next stitch. And this is our repeat around for this row. Skip the next, V stitch in the next. Skip the next, and V stitch in the next. And we'll work this, working all the way around this row. We'll work this all the way around and join back to the 3rd chain of our first chain 4. So I've completed my V stitches, and you should have 14 V stitches, which again is double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. We're going to join to the 3rd chain of that beginning 4 chains with a slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch in that first chain 1 space. And now we're going to switch back to our teal yarn. There we go. Make sure everything's snug down, and if you're trailing your yarn, make sure you got enough stretch in there, but not too much gap. There we go. Now we're going to go in that chain 1 space and stitch a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll stitch 1 more for chain 4. There we go. Make sure everything's not getting tangled. We'll stitch another double crochet in that same chain 1 space. All right, so now we're just going to go to each of the chain 1 spaces of the V stitches and stitch a V stitch. Double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces of our V stitches from the previous row. And we'll stitch those all the way around and join back to the 3rd chain of our chain 4. I've stitched that 2nd row of V stitches, stitching my V stitches in the chain 1 spaces of the previous row. I joined to the top of the 3rd chain, and you will again have 14 V stitches. I'm not going to slip stitch in that chain 1 space this time. We're going to grab that gray yarn or whatever color you want to use for your next row, and we're going to chain 2. We're going to be stitching a half double crochet in each of the double crochets only. So our chain 2 counts as our first, so then we'll go to that next double crochet and stitch a half double crochet. Now we'll go to the next one and stitch a half double crochet. We're not stitching in the chain 1 spaces, we're only stitching in the double crochet stitches. 1 half double crochet in each of the double crochets only, stitching all the way around this row. Then we'll join back to our chain 2. I stitched that row of 1 half double crochet in each of the double crochets. And now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat what we did here. We're going to do a row of the purple in half double crochets. Then we'll do a row of the gray in the half double crochets so that we have 3 rows of half double crochets. I've already joined to my chain 2 and chain 2, and now I'm going to stitch 1 half double crochet in each of the half double crochets around, and then I'll repeat that with my gray color after I finish my purple. So I've completed those 2 rows, so we have 3 rows of half double crochet. I did a gray, then this orchid purple, and then a gray. And again, color choice is totally up to you. Now we're going to repeat these 2 rows right here. So I joined to my chain 2, I brought in my pink color that I used down here, and chained 3, and again I need to chain 1 more because we need a chain 4, and then we're going to stitch right in that same stitch and make our V-stitch. And again we're going to skip the next, V-stitch in the next, and repeat this all the way around, and then we'll also repeat this row where we did our V-stitches in our V-stitches. So we're repeating these 2 rows of V-stitches. I completed those 2 V-stitch rows just like we did down here. I joined, I brought my gray yarn back in, and I'm going to chain 2. And now I'm going to repeat what we did here. I'm going to do 3 rows of half double crochet. Now, before I go farther, I want to talk to you a little bit about length, because this one is from the bottom of the ankle all the way up to the top of the knee band, about 12 inches. I have rather short legs, and so if you want your leg warmer to be longer, you might want to do another row of this set. Now we're going to do 3 rows of half double crochet, and then we're going to be adding on the band. If you want it longer, you can repeat this section if you want to. Another way that you can make it longer is just to continue with your half double crochets for a few rows if you need it just a little bit longer. So there's a couple of options for you to do if you want your leg warmer to be longer than 12 inches as the pattern is written. All right, so I'm going to stitch a half double crochet in each of the double crochets, working around this row, and then I'm going to stitch 2 more rows of half double crochet, and it's going to be just like this with the gray, the purple, and the gray. I've completed those last 3 rows of half double crochet. I've gone ahead and cut my colors, my purple, my teal, and my pink, and I just have my gray attached. Of course, I'll have to go back in and weave those in. Once you have established the length that you want for your leg warmer, we're going to do the knee band. So we're going to begin with the chain 3, and we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the half double crochets around. One double crochet in each of the half double crochets all the way around, and we'll join back to our chain 3. I completed that row of double crochets. I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. Now we're going to do alternating double crochet and front post double crochet, and that's going to give us our nice stretchy band for around our knee. So our chain 3 counts as our first, so we're going to double crochet around the post of the stitch. And normally we stitch up here, but we're going to be stitching around the posts. So yarn over, go around the post, and finish our double crochet. Then we'll double crochet in the next, front post, double crochet in the next, double crochet in the next, and front post, double crochet in the next. And so we'll do this all the way around. And again, this is going to give us a nice stretchy band so it stays up right under our knee. So we're alternating regular double crochets and front post double crochets all the way around. And again, we'll join back to our chain 3. I stitched that row alternating regular and front posts. Here's my last one. I joined to my chain 3 and chain 3, and we're just going to repeat what we just did. Double crochet in the next, and front post in the front post. Double crochet in the next, and front post, double crochet in the front post, double crochet. So basically we're just repeating the row we just did. Double crochet, front post, double crochet, front post, all the way around, and make sure that your front post stitches are stitched in the front post stitches from the previous row. So I repeated that row, and guess what? We're going to repeat it again. This is going to give us a nice tall band on the top of our leg warmer. So we're going to repeat again, front post double crochet and double crochet in the next. And make sure that your front post double crochets are stitched in the front post double crochets from the previous row. All right, so one more time around, stitching double crochet, front post double crochet, alternating around, and join back to our chain 3. I have completed that row again of double crochet front post, and you can see how it makes a nice stretchy band and how it looks really neat and tidy. The last row we're going to do, after here we joined and we chained 1 instead of chaining 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of the stitches, working all the way around the top of the band. And that's just going to help the band hold its shape. Sometimes when you do a really stretchy band, it gets a little stretched out. And this row of single crochet is going to help it keep its shape. So to finish off our stash busting leg warmer, we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way around the top of our band. I've completed that row of single crochet. I'm going to join to the first single crochet with a slip stitch, and we're going to tie off. There we go. We're going to tie off to the inside. It just makes a much neater appearance on the outside. Now, I'm going to take this and flip it out so you can see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, I have a little bit of a mess, right? So I have a little bit of a weaving in to do. Now, it's real important because this is meant to be stretchy, that we don't pull these too tightly. And also, when you have a lot of colors, you want to make sure when you weave it in you weave it in within that color. Okay? For instance, if I would have brought this all the way up and weaved it in this blue, there might be a bump of blue on the other side that might show through. So the key to getting a really neat inside of your leg warmer is just to stitch back and forth, going through fibers and stitches and staying within the color of the yarn that you're using. All right, this is a pullover or a draw up, a trail. We have several of those, which will make it a little bit easier, of course, but we do need to weave all these ends in. That'll probably take you more time than the actual leg warmer itself. I'm just kidding. It will take you no time at all. So now I have a set of leg warmers to keep my legs warm. They're also very bright, so if the headlights hit them when I'm out walking my dogs, they'll definitely see me. They're super fun, and it's a great way, again, to make something fun and useful from your yarn scraps.